Hi, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to Poem Praise 2. I do thank you for tuning in, and peace and blessings be upon you and your family this afternoon. Now we're going to get into For Men Only. We are in chapter number 1, Rethinking Random. And this is take 2 of this chapter. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started in take 2 of chapter 1. And it goes like this. After all that research, we did a specific national survey, as Chpt had done for her previous book. We worked with survey design expert Chuck Cohen, former chief of census design for the U.S. Census Bureau, and professional survey company Decision Analyst. They came together to help us design and conduct a groundbreaking representative survey of 400 women all over the country. In the end, between interviews, surveys, events, and other input, we estimate that well over 3,000 women provided input for this book. I know you'll be fascinated by the results. While some of the findings may be challenging or difficult to accept, most men have been surprised by how helpful many of these truths are and how simple they are to implement for a better, easier relationship. The MAP key. Before we tackle each of these findings, some pointers on reading the map. This book holds to a biblical worldview. Our aim is to be relevant and revealing no matter what your worldview is. But because Chpt and I view life through our Christian faith, we have seen that these findings are consistent with biblical principles. We believe that relationships are most fulfilling when both people have a common commitment to serving Jesus Christ. We do not quote very heavily from Scripture, but we do draw from and reference it as the only true dependable guidebook for relationships. For example, our starting point assumption is that husbands need to love their wives just as Jesus does us, which means to love, serve, and be willing to sacrifice everything for her good, even above our own. This is not a comprehensive marriage book. There are already plenty of marriage books on the market, including many terrific ones from Christian experts. So we may stray away from well-covered topics and areas that guys already tend to have a handle on. And we leave the heavy-duty theological discussions for those books. If you want to investigate those further, we list several recommended resources at our website at www.formenonlybook.com. Also, while we are writing more for married men, these insights will be helpful for anyone in a committed male-female relationship. That said, if your relationship is seriously on the rocks, this little book will probably open your eyes in some important areas. But it is not designed to cover a real crisis situation. We encourage you to get the kind of counsel and support your marriage deserves. This is not an equal treatment, just as For Women Only was purposely one-sided. And if your wife read it, you may have benefited from that fact. So is this book. Yes, you have needs too. Yes, you have needs too. And there certainly may be relationship issues arising because she doesn't understand you. But For Women Only addresses many of those. And this book is not about them. This is only about the inner lives of women. And we're focusing entirely on how men relate to women, not the other way around. This is also why the survey only polled heterosexual women. There are exceptions to every rule. Recognize that when I say most women appear to think a certain way, most does not mean all. We make generalizations out of necessity to be helpful in the widest number of circumstances possible. Inevitably, there will be exceptions. Our findings may not be politically correct, but we try to be true to the evidence. As a newspaper columnist on women issues, Chpt sometimes receives emails from women complaining that she is doing exactly what we intend to do in this book, making generalizations about women. And the fact that I, as a guy, am daring to make those generalizations, and we recognize a potential for controversy. We don't quite know how to get around that, so we decide to just report what we learned. For any woman sneaking a peek, we do not intend to be offensive. We just want to speak frankly to men from a man's viewpoint about you. Our sole intention is to help your man understand and love you better, even if we have to poke fun at the male preoccupation with sex to do it. We decide to just report what we learned. The thing to do next. We think in the pages ahead, you're going to receive a lot of very promising invitations to try some new things. Most are incredibly simple, but they may not come naturally, at least at first. Of course, if all you read about here is already instinctive to you, you wouldn't be troubled by randomness, confusion, frustration. And did I mention swamps? My encouragement to you, give the process time as you retrain years of incorrect assumptions and counterproductive reactions. Bring a humble attitude. Be willing to practice. Believe it can be done. Because I learned that it can be. After several months of being the embedded male, I was watching a movie with Chpt one night. Halfway through, I casually mentioned that I didn't like the way one female character treated another. Chpt sat up on the couch, grinned, and said, "You're thinking like a girl." Now, she meant it as high praise, but in the small Midwest town where I grew up, that kind of talk could get a guy slugged. But then I realized maybe I had learned a valuable thing or two about the female universe just by listening in. Here's hoping that you do too. That completes chapter 1. Stay tuned for chapter number 2, which is entitled "The Deal is Never Closed." Why her "I do" will always mean "do you?" and what to do about it. So until next time, peace be upon you. From me to you here on Poem Praise 2. Be blessed. And if it beeth thy will, I will talk with you soon. Till next time. Later, y'all.